For years, bizarre reports of an alien creature have been emerging from the Caribbean island of Puerto Rico. Set deep in the hills, the Arecibo Space Observatory has been attempting communication with deep space for the past 40 years. Rather alarmingly, it may not have only received a reply, but a personal visit. In the last 2 years, Puerto Rico has been terrorized by a creature known locally as the Chupacabra, or the goat sucker, because, like a vampire, it drains the blood out of its victims. Over the years, several people claim to have shot actual photos of it or given eyewitness descriptions, and in one case, shot what was claimed to be footage of a chupacabra hiding in a forest. Is it real, or is it an urban myth that's been whipped up into mass hysteria? Some claim that it's an alien creature, while others say that it's just a wild cat.
Como de 3 pies de alto, con las piernas bien finas, los pies en forma como de garras, alas extendidas, alas grandes, las manos en forma de garras.
No era como un pájaro, es algo anormal de lo que uno usualmente es algo como así, ¿ves? Pero ¿sabes que los pájaros hacen y vuelan y no, eso fue una cosa rápida, pero bien rápida. Que las hojas hicieron y wow. Es algo como inusual, que no es normal el movimiento de este animal.
Just what the chupacabras are remains a mystery. Some people believe they're products of covert genetic experiments which have escaped from US military bases on the island. Others are convinced that they're alien creatures from another planet. Whatever it is, the locals are scared.
Era combinación de gris oscuro y gris claro, entre manchas. No. Los ojos como gotas de agua, pero grandes. En la nariz casi no se le notaba, pero se le veían sí los dos abrotitos y la boca bien pequeña.
Miro hacia las de eso y hay dos con los ojitos verde neón. Pero que cuando yo me quedo mirando, eso se puso rojo los ojos de ellos. Y al ponerse rojo, mi cuerpo como que sentía como una corriente o algo. Y yo no me podía mover.
De color grisáceo, con los ojos rojos, tenía una aleta en la espalda. Y eso pues levitaba en el aire y tenía el nene agarrado por la mano. A nosotros entrar lo soltó y se fue.
Jorge Martin is well known on Puerto Rico. He's been the lead researcher into the Chupacabra phenomena for over a decade.
They walk on 2 legs, erect, and they have these strange spines or quills or whatever that goes from the back of their heads down to the lower back. And they start changing colors, vibrating very fast, they illuminate themselves, and they start doing this very faint humming sound. And somehow this seems to impel these creatures, which fly away. I think the chupacabras are alien in origin. At first I used to think that maybe this was some type of genetic manipulation, some experiment that had been done here in Puerto Rico. And eventually it escaped to the environment and no one would take any responsibility for it. But then, as we started getting more and more reports from serious, reliable witnesses from all over Puerto Rico, in which these creatures were being observed together with UFO, with alien humanoid beings, and being levitated into this craft, etc., I had to change my mind.
One witness, Mr. Jesus Sanchez, claims he managed to get close enough to a chupacabra to strike it with his machete after it had attacked his rabbits. He says he found them all dead, with the blood drained from their bodies.
Ahí vine yo, me levanté, cuando oí el ruido, me levanté y salí afuera,
cogí un machete y salí afuera. Y cuando vine a averiguar qué era, me pasó la criatura por el lado. Ahí fue que yo lo ataqué con el machete. Le di 2 cantazos y sonó como un timbal. Y ahí, cuando él se vio que yo lo ataqué, pues cogió vuelo y arrancó sobre esa parte, hacia el parte de acá de Gurao. Las marcas que dejó en los animales es una cosa increíble que ninguna persona humana lo hace. Es más, yo le voy a decir, un doctor no hace esa cosa que me hizo esa criatura. Le metió unos agujeros que eran como una aguja de coser por ahí para abajo, por las venas.
We asked Mr. Sanchez to identify the creature he saw that night. We showed him artist impressions of chupacabras based on other eyewitness descriptions.
Esta es la criatura, en la forma de los ojos, que fue en la que yo lo vi. Lanudo así, uñas así, y los dedos de los pies, que eran 4 que tenían así. Esa es la que yo he visto por ahí. Unos dicen que son monos, los monos no vuelan, el que diga que es mono pues está mintiendo. Eso tiene que venir de otros lados, de otro planeta.
Without any doubt, the hysteria and fear on Puerto Rico and the rash of sightings and reports of chupacabras across the island has been fueled by the massive media coverage around the world. The goatsucker is big news.
El Chupacabras, which means goatsucker in Spanish, has the nation talking, and it's thought its victims list sheep, cows, horses and pigs. Some people also claim to have been attacked by the fanged menace.
I ran and it caught up with me. It grabbed me and I was fighting with it. It's not a dog. I don't care what people say.
The nighttime activities of the goatsucker has made the front page headlines, despite the Health Ministry's opinion that it's a large bat which has been suffering from the drought.
The leading US investigator into the Chupacabra attacks is a former maths teacher, Professor Cope Shellhorn.
Chupacabra means literally goat sucker, and it got its name early on because the Chupacabras seem to have decimated a small herd of goats. The main phenomenon really picked up steam around March of 1995. Dozens and dozens of reports of chupacabras started coming in to Puerto Rico. The news media was covering them at the time, and the news media did a pretty good job for a while. The number was kind of staggering. I estimate now there's probably been at least several thousand chupacabra sightings, many at very close range, some at 3 feet.
Professor Shellhorn has carefully analysed all the photographic and video evidence to build up the most detailed profile yet of the creature.
Chupacabra is really standing full size, is approximately 5 feet tall. Looks somewhat in profile like a kangaroo. The head has a kind of snouty front to it. The eyes, when excited, are red, though red and almond-shaped. Sometimes the eyes have been reported as blue or blue-green, but then when it seems to get excited, they turn red. The Chupacabra has hair the longest hairs are a little over an inch. They're thin hairs, they're brown-gray in color, and really very soft, almost like cat hairs. The toes are also 3 digits, the foot has 3 digits, and again claws at the end of the digits. The Chupacabra below the knees is pretty skinny, but in the thigh area there is some mass. I mustn't forget, down their back are long hairs, or what I would call crenulations, almost like you find on your English and Scotch castles. When these animals are seen to fly, it appears these long hairs on the back vibrate. And there have been a couple of reports where people have felt that the actual animal's color changed when this vibration started.
In one of his Chupacabra sightings that he researched, a lady reported being floated off the ground by something while she was sleeping.
The lady's name is Maria Mojica, and she lives in what they call a comunidad, a small settlement in the foothills of the mountains about 20 miles west of San Juan. Well, Maria Mojica has a lot of UFO activity around her, and so does the community of Rio Lajas. Maria Mojica sees Chupacabras very often. In the preceding year, from the April that I was there, she had seen Chupacabras over 15 times, and she had seen UFOs, fairly large UFOs, hovering low to the ground 4 times within that past year.
Yo estoy durmiendo, o sea, acostada. Los nenes se quedaron en mi casa, mis nietos, 2. Entonces el nene se acuesta con él y la nena se acuesta conmigo, y yo, como tenía temor, puse un madre en el piso. A mí me pusieron, yo sentí, Martín, que me pusieron a flotar. Me pusieron a flotar. Entonces me agarran y yo siento, veo algo que está al lado mío, me levanto y pongo las manos en la ventana. Yo no podía sacar las manos de la ventana. Entonces eso fue a las 2 de la mañana, y cuando él se levanta para irse a trabajar a las 4, yo estaba despierta, pero no podía hablar.
Are they intelligent? Maria Mojica is convinced they are. Her husband, Miguel, shot 72 times at the Chupacabras. The neighbor, Teofil Cartagena, shot something like a couple of dozen times at them. She said, you know, when they're around and when ETs are around, because she has some gray activity in her area, quite a bit. But she says the grays have nothing to do, the gray type species, nothing to do with Chupacabras. She's convinced of that, and actually so am I. But anyway, she says when they're around, the hairs on my arm prick up a little bit. And she says when the Chupacabras are near, I hear in my head, Maria, they're calling me, Maria, Maria, Maria. She says I go to the back of my house, to the kitchen, and I'll look out the window, and there will be several Chupacabras in the yard area.
Eso era todas las noches. Los ruidos raros, como arañando en las ventanas, tirándose de encima de la casa a la parte de atrás, partiendo bambú, que las partían, y fueron más de 45 que partió. Entonces se le dispararon 3 personas, 72 tiros. Lo que dejó fue una estela color plata y una verde neón. Siguió el movimiento de los animalitos, que son bien raros, y emiten unos sonidos y unos malos olores horribles.
Bowing to public pressure and the relentless media coverage, the Puerto Rican authorities eventually agreed to undertake a very public necropsy on several sheep that had supposedly been killed by the infamous goatsucker.
El grupo de expertos del Departamento de Agricultura, la Defensa Civil y el Instituto de Ciencias Forenses comenzó el proceso de necropsia, entiéndase autopsia, a varios animales misteriosamente muertos.
Hasta ahora yo no puedo decir que es mordida, hasta ahora no.
El análisis de esta oveja que apareció muerta en el área oeste posteriormente reveló la existencia de varios rasguños o intentos de mordidas. La patóloga experta en mordidas identificó una mordida en el cuello de la oveja, la midió y luego la registró para comparación con futuros casos, pero no se aventuró a establecer la identidad del matador. Estos análisis son solo el comienzo de un intento serio y profesional por esclarecer el misterio. Hasta hoy los veterinarios han realizado aproximadamente 20 necropsias. Ninguna ha revelado una causa de muerte fuera de este mundo.
Yeah, we had a case where there were 2 dead lambs, 2 white lambs, and they presented multiple bite wounds, and on the physical examination, we found some fibers, some hair fibers that were dark. That, you know, was kind of strange, and we sent them to the forensics lab for analysis, and the results came back, and they were dog hairs.
Usually what we're seeing in necropsy findings is round, perfect wounds, primarily from 0.5 centimeter to 1 centimeter in diameter. They go into the base of the skull, also into the base of the jaw. We hardly ever see rigor mortis in some of them. I would say that about 3/4 of the volume of blood from the animals is removed.
Although the experts still don't know exactly what the Chupacabra is, based on his research, Professor Schellhorn is convinced that he knows how it attacks and removes the blood from its victims.
The Chupacabra, when it attacks, it seems to produce a probe out of its mouth. Maybe a fairly long probe, maybe 6, 8 inches or so. And they insert this probe in small animals such as chickens, ducks, geese, usually in the neck area.
It's not just farmers in remote areas that report seeing chupacabras. State policeman Juan Calazo claims he came face to face with the creature one night.
De repente oigo este vehículo que estaba al lado acá que empieza a sonar la alarma. Obviamente pues yo creo que me están untando el vehículo. Rápidamente hacia abajo y noto que hay un animal que está tratando de pelear, o sea, peleando con riña con el animal mío. Cuando me acerco bien, veo que es el animal llamado Chupacabra, como anteriormente lo habían descrito, y lo que hago es que me retiro varios pies hacia atrás y lo que hago es que con el arma de reglamento, yo soy policía, le hago una detonación al mismo. A su vez, cuando yo le doy la detonación, lo que hace es que se enrolla como los gremlins. Se enrolla, va a chocar al final de la pared. Cuando choca al final de la pared, ahí se levanta nuevamente, brinca por ahí, se desaparece en fracciones de segundos, bien rápido. En un momento dado, cuando yo veo a este animal, yo temí por mi vida. Hay animales grandes, corpulentos, y están muertos en el piso. En un momento dado, temo que ataque a alguien, a una persona por sí. Acuérdense que yo soy policía y estoy para proteger vidas y propiedades. En ese momento, pues, obviamente, todo lo que yo pueda ayudar en la aportación del escrito de esto, pues yo lo voy a decir porque fue algo que surgió, es real y yo estoy capacitado. He tenido problemas, han habido situaciones donde pues, he tenido que callar en ciertos momentos, pero hasta la fecha, gracias a Dios, pues no he tenido ningún escrito al respecto y mis supervisores pues me han apoyado porque ellos entienden que lo que yo le estoy diciendo es verdad.
Officially, the Puerto Rican authorities have nothing to say about the Chupacabra incidents. But a local mayor and former police detective, Jose Soto, decided to stand up and make his controversial views known.
Yo te digo que no tengo duda que esto se trata de extraterrestres. No tengo ninguna visión de esto, pero que sé que se trata de algo que es raro, algo que bajo la investigación que yo he hecho. O sea, yo fui investigador de la Policía de Puerto Rico antes de ser alcalde y te digo que nunca me había dado con algo tan raro, ¿sabes? Tan difícil. Bueno, yo me reuní con el superintendente de la policía, del cuartel general, y allí, pues, lo que hizo fue a broma, Chemo, yo no te puedo dar recursos para eso, porque eso no está matando, no hay querella para decir que ha matado a nadie humano, sino son animales y ahí no puedo hacer más nada. Tenemos un grupo que es de la Defensa Civil, de la Policía Estatal y parte de la Guardia Nacional. Estamos haciendo una búsqueda para ver si nosotros podemos saber el objeto o tratar de localizar a ver de qué se trataba. Y entonces no fue con mira de capturarlo, sino la mira que nosotros fuimos fue como para investigar de qué se trataba. Y ahí entonces la curiosidad en sí, agentes de la Defensa Civil y eso, entonces empezaron a tratar de capturarlo, buscarlo.
One of Mayor Soto's key advisors, the head of his emergency management department, stands right alongside him.
Nosotros hemos llegado a dos conclusiones. Una de ellas puede ser del espacio, puede ser yo no sé dónde, de qué planeta sea. La otra conclusión, que son las dos más fuertes, es que sea un experimento. Así lo aclaramos, así lo decimos, así lo digo. Un experimento que se está haciendo en el yunque del parte del gobierno federal y no quieran aceptar que esto se les fue de las manos. Son las dos conclusiones que hemos llegado. Y nosotros estamos preocupados y nos preocupa y vamos a seguir luchando contra eso, independientemente de quién se oponga. Nosotros estamos comprometidos y nuestro alcalde está comprometido a seguir luchando y buscando lo que sea.
No creo que se pueda capturar este tipo de criatura, porque no es una criatura común, tiene unas habilidades por ejemplo, la rapidez. Yo creo que no hay recursos a menos que no sea a través de una tecnología del nuevo gobierno que se pueda hacer. Y después de esto, pues, yo sé de mi vecino que lo vio también y trataron de agarrarlo y no pudieron. Eso fue una cosa terrible. No me gustaría verla. No me gustaría verla porque realmente es bien impactante.
Despite the Puerto Rican authorities' denials and alleged cover-up, the emergency workers and troops on the ground are convinced it's real, and they're responding to reports every week in the hope of actually being able to capture one.
Todos los días, cada vez que recibimos cualquier llamado a estas matanzas, nosotros desde luego lo que hacemos es investigar. Salimos, vamos a un grupo, investigamos, hacemos exploraciones, vamos al monte, buscamos, nosotros rastreamos el área donde se nos indica que cualquier cosa extraña o el chupacabra ha aparecido. Es nuestro rol, acudir, investigar y buscar. Y atrapo uno. Voy a tratar de guardarlo. El temor es que el gobierno federal tenga conocimiento, me lo quite o me lleve con ti chupacabra, no sé a dónde. Y ese es mi temor y por lo tanto lo escondo, llamo a medio mundo para que vaya y lo vea.
Many researchers believe that there is a definite link between the UFO sightings in Puerto Rico and the Chupacabra reports.
I've been researching UFOs for about 25 years now, mostly in the Puerto Rico UFO alien situation. Right now I'm researching several new important cases and situations which seem to imply that the US government seems to have some type of apparent contact with a group of aliens. What group, we don't know. To what extent, we don't know either. But it becomes more and more apparent that's what's going on here in Puerto Rico. I started researching the Chupacabra situation because as an honest researcher, I found an apparent connection between the UFO phenomena and the presence of these creatures in Puerto Rico. And I had to check it out. Most researchers won't do it because of the high strangeness of these type of cases and the strangeness of these type of creatures. But if we are honest, we have to do the research and do the work and tell the public what comes out from it. Chupacabra phenomenon has to do with the presence of a very peculiar type of creatures with very strange physical description and capabilities, which seem to be related to the mutilations, killings of loss of livestock in Puerto Rico, bleeding of certain animals. We have found a pattern in these cases in which these creatures seem to kill the animal with something very similar to an euthanasia technique, which implies some type of intelligence. The wounds or the trajectory or whatever goes into the animals that are killed by something that seems to be pointy and very large, seems to follow always the same path inside the bodies of the animals. First of all, whatever intrudes into the animals goes straight to the cerebellum of the animals and cuts it, killing the animal as if trying for the animal not to suffer too much. Other weird aspects have to do with the extractions of certain organs every time, mostly the liver, reproductive organs, the heart. Those are mostly the type of organs dissected from these animals.
Respected Brazilian researcher Claudia Covo agrees with Martin that we're dealing with alien creatures, possibly even genetically produced clones.
Nesses 31 anos que eu pesquiso o assunto disco voador, a narração das criaturas, de uma forma geral, elas são muito parecidas uma com a outra. E eu tenho a impressão que eles são uma espécie de clones, vamos dizer assim, são seres clonados, fabricados, como se fosse uma linha de produção, uma fabricação em série. Isso é uma possibilidade, mas também não tenho certeza se realmente eles são seres clonados criados em laboratório, mesmo aqui na Terra ou em qualquer canto aí para cima nos céus.
If these animals are partially interdimensional, they are definitely very material when, at moments when they're here. Some people have said they thought that the Chupacabra might have been bioengineered by an American laboratory or the American military. Now, there was a man that called Jorge Martin on his radio show and insisted on remaining anonymous and said he had worked in an underground bioengineering facility 10 years before in the United States, and he had seen creatures that looked a lot like Chupacabras.
Professor Shellhorn has scoured Puerto Rico for evidence of Chupacabras, collecting samples and collating hundreds of eyewitness reports. In one case, he met a farmer on the edge of the rainforest whose pigeons had been slaughtered.
We stopped our car at a little stand, and the people asked us where we were from and what we were doing, and I said, "Oh, I'm looking for people that had Chupacabra experiences." And the man that sold me the soda said, "Oh, right across the street, you must meet Senor Rael." And so I walked across the street and walked into a very good interview. Now, this man had a dovecot. He raises very expensive pigeons. He had the outside of the main dovecot in hardware cloth, and then each of the cages is made out of hardware cloth as well. And then he had a trap door on each of the cages, and then he kept 1 or 2 pigeons in each cage, and he had quite a few pigeons. Now, he came out one time and found that many of his pigeons had been attacked, and the Chupacabras had somehow opened the door of the main cage, opened each door of the smaller cages, either removed or not. The pigeon used a probe that made a hole in the neck of the pigeon around 1/4 of an inch in diameter and sucked the blood out, but left the pigeons inside each cage with the doors shut when they left.
Tenía una crianza de animales aquí, de aves, de gallinas, en este corral y en este otro corral. Aquí estaba colgada esta misma jaula llena de pollo. Un día, como a las 12 de la noche, oímos ruido debajo de la casa y bajamos a chequear qué era lo que estaba sucediendo. Había una criatura chupándose uno de los pollos míos aquí y 2 ya muertos en el piso. Cuando esa criatura se percata de que yo la estoy observando, camina al contrario a donde yo estoy, de esta forma, camina hacia aquí, a la orilla del río, y brinca sobre la mata de bambúa. Al caer a la parte de allá, corre por toda esa área, se apoya en aquel árbol a mirarnos a nosotros. Si esto se le reportó a la policía y aquí estuvo la prensa y se le dio toda la información necesaria. Incluso una vez la policía estuvo pendiente a ver si podía haber uno de ellos y se les presentaron, pero a distancia, no realmente cerca.
Many Chupacabra and UFO sightings happen in and around the El Yunque rainforest. The locals believe that the government is covering up the truth about what is really going on.
Soy vecino del área del Yunque y durante los años que yo he vivido aquí en el Yunque, con las personas que yo he tenido la oportunidad de conversar, aquí hay infinidad de personas que han tenido experiencias, muchas experiencias, y que prefieren ocultarlo debido a que temen el rechazo. En el Yunque hay unas situaciones que ellos el gobierno en sí está encubriendo algo que está pasando. Porque aquí se han visto muchos avistamientos, aquí todo el mundo prácticamente, si le preguntas a todo el mundo que vive aquí en esta área, todo el mundo ha tenido una experiencia, la mayoría de ellos han tenido una experiencia, pero ninguno se atreve a llevarlo a la luz pública debido al rechazo o debido a la presión o a la venganza del gobierno. Aquí también se han visto seres pequeños caminando por aquí. Mi mamá y mi papá tuvieron una experiencia, y mi papá es de la iglesia, y mi papá no aceptan ese tipo de encuentros, o sea, ellos no creen en eso, pero mi papá lo vio, y mi papá sí es una de las personas que lo afirma, lo vuelve a reafirmar, que él lo vio y lo vio junto con mi mamá, y ellos son unas personas mayores que no creen en nada de eso.
Like the Riveras, thousands of people across Puerto Rico have had first-hand UFO and Chupacabra sightings. To them, this phenomena is very real. The effects on their livestock is huge, and the results are often terrifying.
According to most of the witnesses, I would say that the Chupacabra's description seems to be like a blend between a so-called gray alien type entity, something reptilian. Most witnesses have said that to them, the outline of the body, the shape of this creature is something like, to make a comparison, if you take in account the description of the so-called velociraptor dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park movie, okay, take away the head and the tail, and instead of the head, place the head of one of the gray aliens, big, elongated, bulgy red eyes, and it has something like quills or spines or whatever in the back of the head going down to the lower back. They are lying down. At a certain moment, they stand up and start vibrating very fast, and crossing between each other until they produce something like a humming sound, very softly. These spines or quills or whatever illuminate themselves and start changing colors from red to green to yellow to violet to blue, etc., etc. And all of a sudden, they shoot away, they fly. According to the witnesses, whatever is produced by these quills or spines or whatever they are, seems to create an energy or something that impels these creatures, okay, and make them fly.
There's another little community called Campo Rico in the foothills of El Yunque National Rainforest. And it's there you find Miguel and Madeline Agosto. Both of them have had fantastically interesting experiences. For instance, she was going to get in her automobile, so she went to her garage, started to get in, but in the window of the garage was about a foot away from her. She turned, and there was a Chupacabra staring at her 3 feet away, and she screamed, and the Chupacabra kind of reacted, and the Chupacabra went running off. She said, when the Chupacabra ran off, it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And she said, usually that, and I saw the road, I actually drove on it. She said, that road is very, very busy because people are coming out of San Juan at that time. She said, all of a sudden, it seemed like there was a stillness everywhere, and that there was no traffic on the road, and the Chupacabra ran off. Now, she saw the Chupacabra again several days later, running across a couple of 100 feet away from her. And several days after that, her husband saw a Chupacabra. His friend, he has an auto repair shop. His friend came to him and said, oh, come, Miguel, you've got to see there's a Chupacabra down the street. So Miguel ran down the street with his friend, and when they got there was a Chupacabra hovering in the air. Not flying, hovering. Now here you get strangeness again. How can an animal without wings, without propellers, without a jet engine, hover in the air? But it hovered in the air for several minutes, and they watched it. It was very close, and then it just blinked out, like we see so many UFOs, for that matter, able to just seemingly disappear.
At this moment, the phenomenon has spread all over Puerto Rico. All the municipalities have been visited by these creatures. And there's another weird angle, as I told you before, that seems to imply that they are connected to UFOs and other type of alien beings because they have been seen together by several witnesses in different parts of the island, witnesses that don't know each other. So after checking out all these accounts, the descriptions given, the testimonies given, the drawings they made and everything are similar. So we had to take this in account, and it seems to be the case that this is somehow alien related.
The locals who've actually seen the creature are not only 100% convinced that it's real, but that it's extraterrestrial in origin.
Como en 3 pies de alto, con las piernas bien finas, los pies en forma como de garras, alas extendidas, alas grandes, las manos en forma de garras.
No era como un pájaro, es algo anormal de lo que uno usualmente es algo como así, ¿ves? Pero ¿sabes que los pájaros hacen y vuelan y de? No, eso fue una cosa rápida, pero bien rápida. Que las hojas hicieron y vi, wow. Es algo como inusual, que no es normal el movimiento de este animal.
Era combinación de gris oscuro y gris claro, entre manchas. No. Los ojos como gotas de agua, pero grandes. En la nariz casi no se le notaba, pero se le veían sí los dos abrotitos y la boca bien pequeña.
sabemos que no es de este planeta.
Sabemos
eso
que
es de otro planeta.
Exacto, esto
y
no
que
es...
eso está aquí. Eso se va y vuelve, se desaparece, está un tiempo por fuera y vuelve de nuevo, porque ya están yendo juicio de nuevo.
Ya estamos sintiendo otra vez los mismos síntomas
Ahora,
de
la
esto.
semana
otra vez.
pasada en Quinto Dorado, en un sitio, mataron 25 gallos de pelea y es lo mismo, porque cuando estaba aquí, se mudaba allá, de allá mudaba acá. Y para nosotros eso vuela, porque nosotros lo veíamos en el piso y de momento estaba enganchando los árboles.
No pienso que sea un animal. Tiene que ser algo... Es algo que no es normal ni común dentro de nuestro planeta.
As the reports of Chupacabra sightings keep coming in, the media interest and the public hysteria has steadily increased.
The public is very interested in the phenomena. In certain moments there have been like a state of hysteria or panic. For example, on one occasion there were more than 60 or 70 cases in a single day, okay, where animals were killed. These creatures were seen at the sites all over Puerto Rico in different places. At the same time, UFOs and the creatures running around in these places. And I'm talking about a single day, more than 60 or 70 cases. This was reported to the TV media here in Puerto Rico. There were flying saucers on top of radio stations with these creatures running around at the same time, as in the town of Barranquitas, over Radio Prócer radio station. And in many news, they had to include psychologists, okay, to brief the people, to keep people calm, the children, because there was almost a state of panic here in Puerto Rico due to the situation.
In another bizarre sighting from the rainforest, some farmers saw a group of chupacabras ripping up a bamboo grove.
Some of the community was gathered together of these 12 families. There was quite a group of them because the chupacabras were in a bamboo grove just a few feet from them, ripping up this bamboo and throwing it up in the air. And the people were just standing there wondering what's going on, why are they doing this? So some of the men did shoot into the bamboo grove. Later they found a piece of bamboo with a kind of blue stain on it. Now that's the only liquid, the only kind of blood-like material that I know of that's been seen in any case where a chupacabra may have been injured.
Jorge Martin, along with most of his fellow researchers and many of those who've had sightings, believe that the Puerto Rican authorities have been ordered to deliberately cover up the truth about chupacabras by the United States government, and that it may be part of some covert biological testing program.
The U.S. federal authorities have been involved in this situation from the beginning. Because of the special relationship, political relationship between Puerto Rico and the United States, most of the Puerto Rican government agencies, such as the Agriculture Department, etc., are subject, I would say, to the control of U.S. federal agencies, such as the U.S. Federal Department of Agriculture supervises, to a certain degree, the Puerto Rico Department of Agriculture too. The real reason was, according to this source, that same day, the Puerto Rico Agriculture Department had received from the United States a report on some analysis they had made on some substances they had found on the tissues of animal killed here in Puerto Rico that had been made by Ames Laboratory. And they found that there were some enzymes there, some proteinic enzymes that were totally unknown to man, okay? Totally unclassifiable. The properties of these enzymes had to do with the characteristics found in many of the animals who died by these creatures. For example, the blood wouldn't clot in these animals, okay? It remained fresh and liquid all the time. The bodies wouldn't go into rigor mortis, you know, they were flexible. These creatures, whatever they are, wherever they come from, inject this type of substance or these enzymes into the animals to keep them under, I would say, living conditions, so they can extract most of the fluids and bloods in this way. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to do it. I believe that the U.S. government and the Puerto Rican government are denying these facts, that this is going on, these creatures exist, etc. First of all, because this is something totally anomalous, okay? Something abnormal that's going on. These creatures, they believe, might provoke a panic here in Puerto Rico. This is acknowledged openly by the official government that this is really going on. Also, as we have found that there seems to be an alien angle somehow related with the situation and UFOs, etc., if it is difficult for them to say openly that this is for real, these creatures do exist and they are doing this, it is even more difficult for them to explain the relationship between one phenomenon and the other, and they seem to be linked. So we have to understand their position.
Jorge is always busy investigating cases. For instance, not long ago, he had an ex-policeman come to him and, who was with his family, and they were driving a Sunday drive in El Yunque National Rainforest, and they got lost, so they took a side road by accident. And the man told Jorge, he said, we came to this steel block, cinder block type structure, and he says there were these two robo-like cop things standing in front at attention. And he said, we just kind of drove up and didn't know what to do. And then he said, all of a sudden a Jeep came whirling out from behind this thing with more or less humanoid creatures like you and I in it. And the men were waving at it and said, go away, quickly, go away. Now, you know, that's a strange story. But remember that El Yunque National Rainforest has had strange UFO activity. People see large craft descending into the rainforest all the time. There's speculation that there may be collaboration with American scientists going on there. There's speculation that the ETs may just have a base of their own in El Yunque. Strange things happen.
Many people believe that Puerto Rico is being utilized as an experimentation site due to the fact that we belong to, but we are not directly a part of the continental United States. It is very, very convenient to use Puerto Rico to do this type of experiments. We also have the theory that all this alien activity that happens so much in Puerto Rico and all these experiences that our people are having with this type of phenomena may be actually a study being made by the U.S. authorities. As they have most of the U.S. agencies here, they can check on the situations, what's going on, see the social changes, the behavior on our people, and on feeling the presence of these alien creatures, the alien reality. I really do believe that they are doing some type of study here using Puerto Rico to see how this affects human society, and later on use this data elsewhere.
As uncomfortable as it is for the authorities, the link between UFOs and the Chupacabras just won't go away. According to the reports, in several cases, one follows the other.
Eran como las 2:30 de la madrugada. Yo estaba viendo televisión. Estaba solo en el balcón de mi casa. En ese momento vi una luz que me hizo sentir bien en paz conmigo mismo. Y en ese momento la luz estaba penetrando a través del techo de la casa. En ese momento pues yo me levanté y me pregunté que quién vendría a visitarme. En ese momento, al yo levantarme y mirar hacia dónde procedía la luz, para mi mayor sorpresa fue que me encontré con una nave interplanetaria. Para mí era una nave interplanetaria de un tamaño de como de 3 o 4 o 5 pisos de altura, que cubría todo este valle que está aquí, que se encuentra aquí frente de mi casa. Y fui al baño y me lavé la cara para ver si era cierto lo que yo estaba viendo. Y volví y miré por la ventana y lo estaba viendo, y estaba ahí, estaba estable, sin ningún tipo de ruido, solamente la luz que estaba iluminando toda esta área. Yo sentí un revolú de perros ladrando, muchos perros ladrando. Yo pensaba que eran que los perros míos, como yo tengo muchos perros, yo pensaba que eran mis perros que estaban en la calle molestando a alguien. Y entonces cuando miro así, estaban corriendo detrás de la criatura, esta extraña criatura. En ese momento de la nave salió un rayo de luz, o yo no sé lo que fue, que como que la levitó y se la llevó rápido, en menos de 5 segundos.
The harder he's looked for answers, the more leads and connections Jorge Martin has found that point directly at military involvement.
To me, there's an obvious military connection between the Chupacabra phenomenon and the apparent link with the UFO phenomenon behind it also. Because we have several cases in which these creatures have been observed together with UFOs, but in some cases, some witnesses, reliable, serious witnesses, have seen a military personnel, non-identified, dressed in black clothing, uniforms, escorting some of these crafts. And we have to think twice and say, hey, what's going on here? We also have this military confidential source. He's an officer, retired now from the US Army. This man was part of a US UFO crash retrieval team. And on one occasion in 1960, according to him, he was taken from Fort Sill in Oklahoma to Wichita Falls in Texas, and then to a site in New Mexico, where he had to go with a team of specialists, military people, government intelligence people, and technicians. And there was a tall, live humanoid alien there, very human looking to a certain degree. And in a container next to this one were two very strange creatures, okay? They were alive too. And he said they were very much like the so-called Chupacabras that are being seen in Puerto Rico now. He told me that the US government knows about the existence of these creatures for a long time, and that they seem to be alien in origin, okay?
Well, the humanoids that have been seen several times in the company of the Chupacabras they look a lot like us. They've been male, by the way, and they've been approximately 5 feet 5 inches to 5'9". Again, they look very much like us, except for the bristly crew-cut hair that they had, very black and very, very wide-stranded hair. And of course, you would stand out in a crowd. They can't pass like maybe some other ETs can in our culture because they have red eyes. And I'm sure that would, unless you wore very dark sunglasses, you would be suspect.
Some people say that these creatures are coming to Puerto Rico because of the presence of the Arecibo Radio Observatory here in the town of Arecibo that is sending out signals to outer space for ET to contact us. But I can tell you, these type of creatures are all over South America, the Caribbean, most of the United States, and other places.
You know, the Chupacabra is a mythical thing, and maybe it is, but this is something, and it's a cross between something. What? I don't know.
I'm not sure on that part. All I know is it wasn't normal.
I knew that it wasn't something good, so then I just turned and started running this way and just ran and ran.
I'm convinced that the Chupacabras are for real. I don't know whether they've been bioengineered in this world. I don't think we could bioengineer a animal species that can do some of the things that this one does. I mean, how can we bioengineer interdimensionality into a creature when we don't even understand interdimensionality?
Well, some people are thinking about the possibility that if they are attacking animals now, who knows if in the future they might attack someone. But I can tell you this, we have been studying the behavior pattern of these creatures for a long time. They seem to be intelligent to a certain degree, even though they seem to be under the control of other type of humanoid beings that have been observed with them. We have many cases in which they have been together with children. They take the children by their hands, look at them very, very closely, very curious about them, and then they leave. They won't attack them. We have even cases in which people have confronted this creature face to face at close range, and they won't attack them. They just would look at them and leave the place. In Puerto Rico, we have no case at all in which there have been an apparent attack on a human by any of these creatures.
The jury is still out on what's going on in Puerto Rico. Could a real-life alien creature be killing its livestock at will? Or has some genetic mutant escaped from a top-secret facility on the island? Right now, no one knows. But as long as the killing and the blood draining continues, the residents of this tropical island will continue to live in fear.
Esto no se ha terminado. Esto está ahí. Yo le puedo certificar que está ahí porque yo he sentido últimamente, ahora.
Tengo miedo que esa criatura vuelva a aparecer por aquí.
Estamos viendo algo que se sabe que no tiene existencia en este sistema.
Nosotros estamos preocupados y nos preocupa y vamos a seguir luchando contra eso, independientemente de quién se oponga. Nosotros estamos comprometidos y nuestro alcalde está comprometido a seguir luchando y buscando lo que sea.